Hello, my friend, and welcome to Wisdom Trek. I am Guthrie Chamberlain, your guide to wisdom and creating a living legacy. Thank you for joining us for our 5-day-per-week Wisdom and Legacy Building podcast. This is day 513 of our trek, and today is Philosophy Friday. Every Friday, we will ponder some of the basic truths and mysteries of life and how they can impact us in creating our living legacy. Currently, we are in a multi-week trek as we explore the teachings of some of my virtual mentors, such as Jim Rohn, Zig Ziglar, and Earl Nightingale. The core of the current trek is based primarily on Jim Rohn's book called The 5 Major Pieces to the Life Puzzle. I have learned a considerable amount from reading and rereading this book on my own trek of life, and I trust that you'll benefit from it also. Keeping with the continuity of Wisdom Trek, I am adapting it to the 5 Trails on Life's Trek. We are broadcasting from our studios at the Big House in Marietta, Ohio. It has been a cool, but not overly cold first week of January in Marietta. Paula and I are having an open house here at our home on Saturday for friends so that they can see the renovations that we've completed over the past couple of years. We are expecting about 50 people to drop by. We are still decorated for Christmas, so we thought it would be a great time to host it. The following weekend, we will be celebrating Christmas with our 5 children, their spouses, and our 6 grandkids. We delayed it so everyone would be able to come at the same time. Plus, it allows us to take advantage of the after-Christmas specials. We have done this a couple times in the past few years, and it seems to work out well for all. Sometimes it is best to work our activities around what is best for everyone, instead of trying to fit everything into a schedule that is already busy. As we consider the activities that we are engaged in, our trek for today will be in sync with that, as we start on a third trail of this extended trek called the Trail of Activity. If you have missed any of the past few Philosophy Friday treks, it would be good to go back and review them and get caught up on our progress so far. We do have a lot of ground to cover today, so let's break camp and begin the third trail of this extended trek as we cover the 5 Trails on Life's Trek, Activity Part 1. As a reminder, our overall extended trek will cover these 5 trails, which are philosophy, attitude, activity, results, and lifestyles. Today's lesson, we want to start out with the parable of the 3 servants. In the book of Matthew, chapter 25, Jesus tells us a story known as the parable of the 3 servants. A parable is a word story that illustrates a greater truth. According to the story, one day the master of a household gathered his 3 servants together and announced that he would be going away on a long journey. Before leaving, he gave his servants a certain number of bags of silver. Each bag of silver would be worth several years of wages to the average laborer, so this represented a substantial sum of money. Let me read this story to you so that you'll understand the lesson contained in it. And it begins like this. Again, the kingdom of heaven can be illustrated by a story of a man going on a long trip. He called together his servants and entrusted his money to them while he was gone. He gave 5 bags of silver to one, 2 bags of silver to another, and 1 bag of silver to the last, dividing it in proportion to their abilities. He then left on his trip. The servant who received the 5 bags of silver began to invest the money and earned 5 more. The servant with 2 bags of silver also went to work and earned 2 more. But the servant who received the 1 bag of silver dug a hole in the ground and hid his master's money. After a long time, the master returned from his trip, and he called them to give an account on how they had used his money. The servant to whom he had entrusted 5 bags of silver came forward with 5 more and said, "Master, you gave me 5 bags of silver to invest. I have earned 5 more." The master was full of praise. "Well done, my good and faithful servant. You have been faithful in handling this small amount. Now I give you many more responsibilities. Let's celebrate together." The servant who had received 2 bags of silver came forward and said, "Master, you gave me 2 bags of silver to invest, and I have earned 2 more." The master said, "Well done, my good and faithful servant. You have been faithful in handling this small amount, so I will give you many more responsibilities. Let's celebrate together." Then the servant with the 1 bag of silver came and said, "Master, I knew you were a harsh man, harvesting crops you did not plant and gathering crops you did not cultivate. I was afraid I would lose your money, so I hid it in the earth. Look, here's your money back." But the master replied, "You wicked and lazy servant. If you knew I harvested crops I did not plant and gathered crops I did not cultivate, why didn't you deposit the money in the bank? At least I could have gotten some interest on it." Then he ordered, "Take the money from this servant and give it to the one who has 10 bags of silver. To those who use well what they are given, even more will be given, and they will have an abundance. But to those who do nothing, even the little that they have will be taken away. Now throw this useless servant into outer darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth." Many people are not very happy with the way the story ends. After all, it does not seem fair to take the little that this third servant had and give it to the servant who now had 10. But remember, life is not designed to give rewards in proportion to the level of need. It gives them in proportion to your level of ability. While there is a deeper biblical lesson about building the kingdom of heaven in a story, for our analogy, let's look at it as part of the trails on life's trek. The moral of the story for your lesson today is that whatever life has handed you, whether it's 1 bag of pennies or 5 bags of silver, it is your responsibility to do something with what you have been given. That is how you change your pennies into fortunes and obstacles into opportunities. You must take all that you have and all that you are and put it to work. Sooner or later, you must convert knowledge and good feelings into activities. This parable so clearly demonstrates the more you start with, the more you will receive for all your disciplined work. That is why starting with a sound personal philosophy and the right attitude is so important. The more you know and the better you feel about yourself and your opportunities, the greater your chances for success will be. A growing awareness and a positive attitude are not enough in and of themselves. What you know and how you feel merely determines your potential for achievement. Whether you actually achieve your goal is ultimately determined by your activity. You can have a well-balanced philosophy, a great depth of character, and a good attitude about life, but unless you put these valuable assets to work, you may find yourself making more excuses than progress. What you know and how you feel are important factors that affect your quality of life, but remember, they are merely the foundation upon which to build a better future. Completing the rest of the picture requires your action. That concludes our lesson for today, and we are deliberately taking the trail slowly on the 5 trails on life's trek as we begin our hike on this trail of activity. Today we learned that any success requires activity and action. It was the 2 servants that took the action based on their ability that were rewarded for their activity. On the next Philosophy Friday, we will continue on the trail of activity and explore why sometimes we get stuck at the base of the mountain and why we must harvest our vision for the future. Join us next Friday for these additional insights. I know that you'll find these insights interesting and profitable in living your rich and satisfying life. Our next trek will be Monday, and we will begin a new series called The Tools in Gramps' Backpack, where we will equip you with the tools needed to impact the lives of others. So encourage your family and friends to join us, and then come along with us on Monday for another day of Wisdom Trek, Creating a Legacy. If you'd like to listen to any of the past daily treks or read the associated journals, they are available at wisdom-trek.com. And thank you so much for allowing me to be your guide, your mentor, but most importantly, I am your friend, as I serve you through the Wisdom Trek podcast and journal. And as we take this trek of life together, let us always live abundantly, love unconditionally, listen intentionally, learn continuously, lend to others generously, lead with integrity, and then leave a living legacy each day. I am Guthrie Chamberlain, reminding you to keep moving forward, enjoy your journey, and then create a great day every day. See you on Monday.